in Japan sounds exciting, right? The streets, the culture, the anime. It all feels kind of magical. Just imagining daily life here already feels kind of special. Maybe you imagine yourself walking through quiet neighborhoods, stopping by a convenience store late at night, or riding the train every morning like everyone else. But then, when you actually begin searching for a place to live, almost everyone runs into the same moment. You look at the numbers and think, wait, why does it cost this much just to move in? That surprise hits nearly every foreigner. It doesn't matter if you're coming as a student, a worker, or on a working holiday visa. At some point, most people feel the same shock, and that's exactly why I want you to know about something called free rent in Japanese apartments. Today, this video is for all of you who want to live in Japan. I'll explain what free rent is, how it works, and how to use it without losing money. If you watch until the end, finding an apartment in Japan should feel way less stressful. First, let's talk about why Japanese apartments feel so expensive at the start. You've already paid for flights, visas, and maybe language school or job preparation. So when you see how much money is required just to move into an apartment, it can feel overwhelming all at once. If you've rented a place outside Japan before, you might be used to a very simple system. You pay about 1 month's rent as a deposit, maybe the first month's rent, and then you move in. That's the image many people have, but Japan works a little differently. When you rent an apartment here, you often pay several fees all at once. There's a security deposit, key money, advanced rent, and a real estate agency fee. The security deposit is usually 1 month's rent. Key money is also typically 1 month's rent, and for popular properties, it can sometimes be set at 2 months. Advanced rent is usually equal to 1 month's rent, and the real estate agency fee is typically between half a month and 1 month of rent. On top of that, when you add insurance costs, just thinking about it can feel overwhelming because of how much money is required up front. All of these are usually paid before you even get the keys. So even if the monthly rent is around 80,000 yen, the upfront cost can easily go over 300,000 yen. If the monthly rent is 100,000 yen, the initial cost can easily exceed 400,000 yen. And the higher the rent is, the higher the initial cost becomes as well. Even for Japanese people, there are many who end up postponing their move simply because of these high upfront costs. So, for someone coming to Japan for the first time, that honestly feels pretty intense. When you've just arrived in Japan and are still looking for a job, the initial costs can feel overwhelming. It's normal to think, isn't this way too expensive just to start living? And this is where free rent becomes really helpful. Free rent means that, after you move in, there's a certain period when you don't have to pay rent. Sometimes it's just 1 month, sometimes it's 2 months. In rare cases, it can even be 3 months. With free rent properties, because of how the system works, advance rent is often not required, which means you can reduce your initial costs even further. In simple terms, there's a period when rent you would normally pay is completely free. Because of that, the amount of money you need at the beginning goes down. That's the biggest and easiest benefit of free rent. It doesn't erase all costs, but it can reduce the pressure at the most critical moment. Free rent doesn't just reduce the upfront cost, it also gives you breathing room during your first months in Japan. That extra money can be used for furniture, daily necessities, or simply to feel more secure while you settle into your new routine. Mentally, that makes a much bigger difference than people expect. Now, a lot of people feel suspicious when they hear free rent. They think, is there some kind of catch? Will this cause trouble later? But don't worry, free rent is actually very common in Japan. Let's think from the landlord's point of view for a moment. If an apartment stays empty, the owner earns no rent at all during that time. Even 1 empty month means a direct loss. So from the owner's perspective, offering the first month for free to get someone to move in quickly makes a lot of sense. Also, Japanese cities have a huge number of similar apartments. Same train station, same layout, same general rent range. In areas like that, landlords need something to make their apartment stand out. Adding free rent becomes a strong selling point. During slower moving seasons like summer or the end of the year, you'll see free rent offers more often. In other words, it's not a favor, it's a negotiation tool. So free rent isn't a shady trick or a hidden scheme. It's just a normal business strategy in Japan's rental market. Now, this next part is really important. Free rent is useful, but if you don't understand the conditions, you might regret it later. There are 3 main points you should always check. First, early cancellation penalties. Most apartments with free rent have a rule like this. If you move out within a certain period, you have to pay a penalty. For example, if an apartment offers 1 month of free rent and you move out within 1 year, you may have to pay 1 month's rent as a penalty. This is extremely common. So if you're thinking, I'll just stay for a short time, or I might move to another city soon, free rent may not be the best option. Second, the free rent period itself. Even if a listing says free rent included, the details can vary a lot. How many days are actually free? Does the free period start from the contract date or from the day you move in? If you don't confirm this, you might later realize that the free period was shorter than you expected. Many problems with free rent don't come from bad intentions. They usually happen because people didn't fully understand the contract. Rental agreements in Japan can be long and confusing, especially if Japanese isn't your first language. That's why taking time to ask questions is not being difficult, it's being smart. Third, the monthly rent. Some free rent apartments have rent set slightly higher than similar apartments nearby. At first, free rent looks like a great deal, but if you stay for 2 or 3 years, you might end up paying more overall. That's why the most important thing isn't the word free. What really matters is how much you pay in total. So instead of looking only at the upfront cost, add everything together: rent, maintenance fees, renewal fees, and possible penalties, and then compare. Next, let's talk about how to actually find free rent apartments and how to handle the contract properly. The easiest way is to use real estate portal websites. Many sites let you filter listings by conditions, including free rent. If you check that option, it becomes much easier to compare apartments. Another option is to ask directly. Even if an apartment listing doesn't mention free rent, simply asking, "Is free rent possible?" can sometimes change the deal. This works especially well during off-season periods when fewer people are moving. Once you're ready to sign the contract, there are 4 things you should always confirm. 1. When does the free rent period start? 2. How long does the free period last? 3. Is there a penalty for moving out early? 4. Does free rent apply only to rent, or also to other fees? Just checking these 4 points can prevent most problems before they happen. So today, we went through free rent step by step. Let's quickly review. Free rent means your rent is free for a limited time. There are clear reasons why landlords offer it, so it's not something suspicious. But you do need to watch out for early cancellation penalties and rent that's higher than the local average. That's why, from the very beginning, you should always make sure to ask and confirm these 4 points: when the free rent period starts, how long the free period lasts, whether there is any penalty, whether the free rent applies only to the rent or to other fees as well. And most importantly, always think in terms of total cost, not just the upfront payment. At the end of the day, free rent is just a tool. It's neither good nor bad by itself. What matters is how you use it, and whether it fits your plans for living in Japan. If you understand it properly and use it wisely, free rent can be a huge help when looking for an apartment in Japan. On mooovin, you can search for apartments in Japan from anywhere in the world. We offer support in Japanese, English, Chinese, and Vietnamese. So be sure to check out our official website from the link in the description. If you thought this video was helpful or interesting, please subscribe and hit the like button. Well then, see you in the next video. I'm cheering with all my heart for your happy life in Japan. Bye bye.